Hello, everybody. Happy Friday.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Happy Easter, happy Passover, happy April Fool's Day, happy lots of things on this dreary day.
Yeah, it is. It's, you know, the horrible part about it's Easter weekend and Passover and nice holidays, but I really miss not having April Fool's Day during the week.
During the office week. He's
going
to miss a lot of opportunities.
It's brutal. I absolutely kill people with some of my over-the-top April Fool's jokes.
You're going to have to reserve that for your family. We get out scot-free this time.
Yeah, well, I think my wife is pretty adept now at knowing that it's coming. She's like, it's almost like circled on the calendar. I've done some pretty rough.
I don't know, is your son wise to the whole thing yet?
Yeah, I mean, he's wise. He's wised up. He's watched me over the years, and he's kind of seen my acts play out too many times to kind of, really not know what's going to happen next, which is usually something my wife usually has a hard time understanding at times. It's bad, folks. I've done some pretty good. That seems to be like my holiday, and like
that's your holiday.
Yeah, that's like my holiday.
Some people it's Christmas.
Yeah, it's definitely April Fool's Day. So anybody who knows me knows that. Boom, you're getting hit with. They like have a circle on their calendar. They're fortunate though that I'm limited to just immediate family because it's on Easter
this week. Yeah,
and it's like it's hard to do cruel things on Easter because I mean that's probably the bad part about it is you get to do like sometimes
the bad part about it. That's the good part about it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like some people can do the friendly stuff. I do the stuff that
you do the mean stuff.
Yeah, you don't want that.
No, there. But back on topic. Today we are going to do a fun one for me anyway. We are covering top 10 old school Staten Island institutions that are still in business today.
Yeah, institutions that,
meaning mom and pop shops. These are all
She's going to fill you in on all the 5 years of experience she's had on Staten Island.
No, you're going to fill in all the, how many years of experience on Staten Island?
No.
You want to go there?
No. But it's great to go and talk about all the things that make, some type of impact on Staten Islanders as far as, those really iconic places or places that you just come to know for so long that they're institutions.
Survived all against all odds.
Yep.
Persevered. Some of them are actually from are more than a century old.
Yeah.
A couple of them on this list.
It's quite a list.
Before Staten Island had bridges even. You had to get here by a boat.
Yeah, rowboat, I think. No, I'm only kidding. The ferry's been around for quite a while. So we're going to also, just a couple of brief things on some of the news that's kind of making headlines locally.
Yeah.
The Staten Island Mall was sold.
Yeah.
General Growth Properties, which owned the mall, sold it. It was a pretty whopping price tag. I'll fill you in on the price tag, but it was substantial to a real estate investment trust.
And that happened this past week?
Yes, it was reported in the Staten Island Advance.
A lot of changes happening for the mall.
Yeah, the mall's growth has obviously expanded. There's going to be a movie theater, which is part of the plan.
A Century 21 store.
Right, and I was just going to say that. You
own little borough of Staten Island.
When I said Century 21 store, going to the Staten Island Mall, Hannah's eyes lit up. So did my wife's.
Yeah.
We
love our bargain departments.
Yeah.
We don't have to go to the city.
If you're like the downtown commuter and like Century 21's been a staple in downtown Manhattan for so long, so people who are from
financial
Manhattan
district.
know that Century 21 is downtown Manhattan, and there's not much retail. Is much retail in Lower Manhattan than there had in recent years. It's pretty much turned a lot of more residential than it's ever has. So
Or banks. a lot of banks and apartments.
Yeah, and like Wall Street firms and things like that. But it's really turned residential for the most part. And there's some restaurants. But you go downtown Manhattan, we can get into all that. But downtown Manhattan during the weekends is like, it's like a ghost town.
It's pretty dead, yeah.
So it's almost scary ghost town.
It's not a party place.
Yeah, you say like New York, the city that never sleeps except on the weekend.
Yeah, except on Wall Street.
Manhattan.
Manhattan, yeah.
But
so that's exciting.
yes. Those are some of the things. Also, on a couple of the news front, as far as mortgage interest rates are.
Mortgage interest rates are up, not surprisingly. Up from 4.64, they are now at 4.8, so slight increase.
And here's the thing about that, though, and people think that the slight increase has dropped applications. Applications are up the same, up 4.8% from last month.
So because
the mortgage rates are not
up.
dampening the market, which I had said before. I think you can go up to 6, and you wouldn't dampen this market based on
how low they still
are. Based on inventory, just the amount of inventory. But inventory of active homes has been on the increase. Stay tuned for the next broadcast, I think it will be. We should be in time for the next broadcast.
Yeah, we should. Next week will be the monthly statistics.
Mm-hmm. So you get a rundown of the stats.
Of the average home price of March, average...
I wouldn't expect there to be any substantial changes, though. I don't think so.
I don't expect it to drop much. Certainly, it's been.
I think
staying pretty high. I think it was about 570.
There's nothing really moving on the news of anything that I would say would change the market at its current pace, which is still on. I think average prices you'll probably see. I doubt very much that you'll see the same average sale price increasing as the rate it was the prior 2 years. There may be some marginal increases, but I don't expect by any stretch of the imagination it's going to
increase 20% in 1 year.
Yeah, which is something that happened like the prior 2 years. It's up somewhere around 25%. When you could sell a townhouse for
over $600,000.
Yeah, there's like a place. There's places in Arden Heights that are townhouses that are now selling for what almost $600,000 over townhouses in Staten Island selling for $600,000.
We sold one in New York that was and attached on both sides over $600,000.
Yeah, when we talk about townhouse, we talk about, just to clarify, it's attached houses usually.
There's end units obviously, and then but this one was attached on both sides. So.
Yes, $600,000. You're reaching deep now.
I know. That's why I'd be surprised if it went up too much from here, but who knows?
Yeah,
over the next few years.
With inventories being what they are, it's premium housing.
Brooklyn prices being what they are.
So it's really quite a substantial rise. So. We're going to get into those stats next week. So next Friday you'll watch, hopefully again. And
tune in to learn the latest dish on Staten Island real estate.
And then
I guess we're ready to jump into the old school Staten Island institutions, the top 10.
Yes, and I think
if we missed any, be sure to let us know in the comments.
Yes. These places.
Your favorite.
Yeah, these places for sure are just absolutely. Some of them still maintain like we're going to get into one that actually still looks like it's from the 50s. From the
50s, yeah. A couple of these are still very, they.
So not only like.
Still very old-fashioned.
The ambience of the place is actually still in that.
Still have that classic like I have a diner in here. I have a candy store, record store, which I'm going to get into first.
A record store.
Yeah, a record.
So let's start with number one, and you could definitely get into this because this is unusual. Now,
you didn't actually.
The last record store I think I was in. I mean, I know J&R Music World, which is gone now.
Which is Manhattan.
That was Manhattan.
That was something people.
And Tower Records. Tower Records in Midtown was like places people. And then.
And those were just in the past couple of years.
Then there was a record store in the old Highland Shopping Plaza, which was popular with the DJ spinning of the Now I'm aging myself. I promised I wouldn't do it. But
DJ, spinning
I am.
days gone.
But yeah, when you talk about records and spinning, you're definitely talking about like 90s, 80s, late 80s. I was more late 80s, 90s.
More 80s. Record spinning anyway.
Record spinning, yes.
There,
90s, the beginning of the 90s pretty much still kept it.
records?
Yes.
Okay,
Records, I'd say, were basically in play up until about, I say, 95. Started changing into CD.
Well, vinyl has actually had a resurgence over the past couple of years.
Yes.
And that's why...
you're very into that scene.
I don't own a record player, but I do keep up to date with the alternative cultures. And I find that interesting because I don't listen to records. I find it to be, just I don't have room in my house. But Majors Records in Port Richmond
is still around.
Is still around. It's not its first location. It did originally open in 1961, so it's been around for over 50 years. And Brooklyn and is now located was in where Kohl's used to be on Forest Avenue, and then moved to what was Pathmark Mall.
So there is a place for people here locally to find vinyl records.
Vinyl records.
Besides eBay.
Right here in Staten Island. Besides eBay, besides Brooklyn. It's a rare find. We got a hipster shop right here in Staten Island.
And then, again, this is your neck of the woods, which is Phillips Candy Store. This is an interesting place, folks. So this list is really places that, if you haven't been, you should try these places out. And Phillips Candy Store is quite interesting because of the kind of selection of candies that are more on the homemade side.
Yeah, they do. They have the classic kind of carnival type of fare, caramel apples, cotton candy, saltwater taffy. And they also have chocolate dipped fruit with unique options like guava. Like I had some chocolate dipped guava.
I know. I'm sure the audience is going to know what guava is. What is guava?
Guava is a Latino staple. It's it's a little fruit. It's very sour. I wasn't crazy about it. I think that was my first guava that I'd ever had, actually.
Okay. But I would say if you're looking like it's something you see typically. You see those kind of mom and pop type of operations on the Jersey Shore. So
it's actually from Coney Island. That was where it opened up in the Coney Island
boardwalk. If you're familiar with like the places that you'd line typically, maybe in Seaside Heights or something like that, you see those kind of classic stores.
Right. It's got a red and white striped awning out front. Like I said, very reminiscent of kind of a carnival. And it's been open since 1916.
1916.
So over 100 years operating in New York City. And originally on the Coney Island boardwalk. So when you come visit it, it's next door to Majors Records, actually. The previous number
Port
on
Richmond
our list.
neighborhood.
Yeah, in Port Richmond, border of Port Richmond and Westerly, right off of Forest Avenue. Mm-hmm. And stop in, get yourself a caramel apple or a chocolate dipped guava.
Whatever that is.
Oh, and they even offer dog treats that are dipped in white chocolate. Apparently, white chocolate's okay for dogs.
Okay, so
it's only the dark chocolate that's.
I don't own a dog, so I'm
well, if you own a dog, get a
but I've heard that people have
candy dog treat.
Supplemented their diet with dog biscuits. But
I don't know if they're meant
I don't
for
think
people,
I'm going to be heading over there anytime soon.
For the spoiled dog.
For that. But
next is in actually right in your neck of the woods.
Yes,
Anthony.
Great Kills Thrift. Now it's not a place that I visited, but I do know it. If you know Great Kills town itself, the town would be if you go into like Nelson Avenue, Giffords Lane, and then there's Amboy Road, and there's that little street there. It's called you know what street that is? It's actually on. It's that little tiny street that just next to
It's right behind the train station.
If you see like people who are old time Staten Islanders know the Dinger Building, which is the tall building in Great Kills. It's actually on the side street there, and it's been there for a while. And it's not something it's like has a huge storefront, but it's always there, and you'll always see people in and out. And it's a thrift store, and that's been there. Especially for that community, when you talk about the town center, and it's kind of like it's shrunk a bit. That's one of the ones that have remained quite steadily
Since 1963.
1963.
Yep, and probably not much has changed in there. It's a very classic antique store. You can get, bargain dolls, ceramics, books, you name it, and all proceeds go to the Staten Island Mental Health Society, which has.
I was just told it was it's Brower Court, Brower.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Giselle. Hi.
But it's Brower. Okay, so there you go.
So there you go. She filled in for us on that one. Proceeds support the Staten Island Mental Health Society, which have been helping children since 1895. Another vintage institution.
And that's
and they also
own the
Tottenville
Tottenville thrift store. Yeah,
same
so it's the
organization.
same company, and that's I believe that's off of Main Street, right off of Main Street in Tottenville.
In the little town center.
And then, go ahead.
Moving
Number
on
4.
to the oldest tavern in Staten Island, which is Leidy's Shore Inn in Randall Manor.
I think it's Leidy's.
It's Leidy's.
Leidy's.
We disagree. I always said Leidy's.
Folks, if you could correct us on this, is it Leidy's or Leidy's? I believe it's
How would
Leidy's.
you write it out? I don't even know.
I'm from Staten Island, and I think Leidy is a pretty.
All right, so.
It's pretty. It's a common name, believe it or not, here.
Oh yeah, you know people with that last name?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I know it's around. Leidy is something, but I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Leidy.
You say Leidy, I say Leidy.
She's gonna sing a song now.
No, that's it. That's
That's
all the
it?
performance you got out of me. But it's very, very old fashioned. It's got wood paneling, tin ceilings, and it is now the third generation of Leidy's that are operating the facility, and they've been living upstairs, said, for 3 generations in the apartments upstairs. Keeping it going since 1905.
It's a place to visit. It's in the Randall Manor section. I think earlier we had spoken about Randall Manor being
in our hidden neighborhoods.
In our hidden neighborhoods. So definitely a place that
a landmark. For
sure. I don't think the alcohol is as old as the store. But,
well,
but
I would hope
you definitely get an experience visiting.
Old Staten Island for sure. Leidy's Shore
And
Inn.
it's 3 generations of Leidy's, right?
Yep, 3 generations of Leidy's.
Okay.
So
on to number 5.
And I'm going to hand this over to you.
5. The big number 5, and this is a place that...
This is the oldest one on our list, actually.
Yes, Holteman's Bakery on Arthur Kill Road. Yeah, and it's been around, well over 100 years.
Yes, since 1878, back when they used to deliver on horse-drawn carriages to family houses.
And Holteman's grew quite a bit, which led to some distribution channels. So it's in many markets, regionally. So you'll see Holteman's cakes still all around.
I think they've mostly shrunk down to Staten Island, though.
Yes, now they've kind of shrunk.
It's more of a local focus.
Yeah,
they used to deliver more to New Jersey and upstate New York.
Right. So, but it was quite a prominent item, even in the supermarkets. So they dominated the supermarkets with. You really remember, and I'm going to be an old Staten Islander here, you're going to really remember Holteman's Bakery and Crumb Cake. It was like Holteman's and Crumb Cake were one of the famous...
well, the one I thought was funny is they have a dessert
one of the famous
called,
combinations. So it was Holteman's and Crumb Cake. Holteman's Crumb Cake. But
they have a dessert called Charlotte Russe, which is a clothing
that I haven't
store.
tried.
It's a clothing store for girls. I used to shop there when I was a teenager. I didn't realize it was a dessert. Charlotte Russe is a cake made with lady fingers surrounding it.
And you said
yummy.
And you said that. And where was this, in Florida?
Charlotte Russe is a chain.
No, you said you visited there. You said there was a place you went as a teenager. You're from Naples.
It's a chain.
Huh?
They have them in New York too.
Okay. I never heard of it.
It's a clothing store, yeah, but apparently it's a cake too.
You always hear about these kind of what kind of clothes would be sold there?
Cheap clothes for 12-year-old girls.
Cheap clothes for 12-year-old girls. Okay, that's a pretty.
That's why I don't shop there anymore. I've grown. So this is another interesting thing. Is not only is it the oldest bakery, according to Councilman Mateo, who's a history buff, says it's the oldest family business on all of Staten Island.
Really?
Yeah.
And it's owned by an Arthur Holtzman, right?
It is, yeah. The current site was built by Arthur Holtzman. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that's
he's around.
So again, that's the site. That's where it is currently. It's the all brick kind of grayish building, right off of Arthur Kill Road, right, and I would say Corbin Avenue. So it's in that little area.
Not far from Richmond Town.
Mm-hmm. And the next one is also in Port Richmond Westerly area, is Eggers Ice Cream, a vintage ice cream parlor that's been in business since 1932. Yeah, Gothamist actually listed as the top 10 best ice cream places in New York City.
All of New York City.
Yeah.
Also was featured in AM New York. So people definitely come from outside of Staten Island to try it out. They have handmade ice cream.
Being that they were featured in Gothamist and AM New York, which are both publications more centered around Manhattan.
It's got to be pretty special to make that list.
To be honest with you, making any list from any publication in Manhattan is an accomplishment.
Yeah, is a standout thing for sure.
So it's like, Staten Island is not largely considered one of the premium.
It's not something that's sought out for sure. I mean, it has to really stand out to make a list like that.
Yeah, especially from those publications. Those publications.
Those publications.
Yes, Staten Islanders are not always enamored by Manhattan publications. So, and being an old paper boy from back of the day, I could tell you, we used to steal the Daily News off the I'm only kidding.
So you really want to go into your juvenile delinquency in this video?
No, but the Daily News was like the Advance being the local paper. I mean, it was like delivered to like 9 out of 10 houses, and the Daily News was like 1 out of 50. So it was just people just didn't pay attention to it. But the fact that it's made it on, again, Gothamist's top 10, and Gothamist is a pretty big online publication.
Yeah, it reaches audiences far outside of New York City. Even though it's based here, a lot of people read it. So I was looking through the Yelp reviews, and I saw some people that said it was definitely worth the visit from outside of the borough. And so they make their ice cream fresh every day, and they have a vintage diner setting with tile floors. They have a bar you can sit at and sip your milkshakes. They have old metal ice cream dishes. Very quaint.
Metal ice cream dishes?
Mm-hmm. You've never seen that? That's like the classic diner how they used to serve ice cream, was in like a metal dish.
That's interesting. Metal dish ice cream.
I mean, classic diner.
Was it metal or copper or?
No, it's probably not silver. Probably aluminum. It's like a polished metal dish.
Okay, something. Because
probably
I'm actually doing this video,
honestly.
I think I should be visiting the place. I think I gotta make my way over it. I guess even though I can't eat ice cream, have a milk allergy, but I can't. So.
Well, they also have walls of penny candy. So,
so maybe I could just have the toppings in
just have a dish with
dish.
toppings in it.
Like,
delicious, bon appetit. Some sprinkles in a bowl.
So, but like I said, Eggers Ice Cream since 1932.
Yep. So good for them, sticking around for almost a century.
And which street is that on? That's on.
That is on Forest.
Yes.
Forest, in the same plaza as Forest Bagels, my favorite bagel store.
Yeah, and we're going to go into obviously a staple for the South Shore now.
Yes, and that would be
Delco Drugs.
Delco Drugs.
The 1950s front that still has that flair, and I think the sign is still lit in neon pink.
Yep.
So it's
very Norman Rockwell.
Yes,
the way that the storefront looks.
Yes, all you need is like a 57 Chevy in the front, and you'd be right back in time. But and we did a little exploring while we were here, and just to see. Unfortunately, I haven't really experienced the inside. I think maybe once or twice. I
we
don't
have
know
a couple of
but they've told
Jen,
me
our
that-
secretary, said that she goes there to get her prescriptions, and that it still looks like inside also like the 1950s.
And she's the office manager. Don't confuse that.
Did I give her the wrong?
You got her the wrong title.
Oh.
But anyway, Delco, apparently, right? You said that they actually. She said that.
Yeah, so I learned this from Jen, and apparently the pharmacist, his name, the owner and the pharmacist, whose name is Robert Licciardello. You're Italian, help me pronounce this.
No, she's definitely pronouncing it.
Robert Licciardello.
Yeah.
He actually he has a unique niche there, and he custom mixes medicines for people who might have certain allergies, people in the autism spectrum who might be sensitive to certain textures. He'll actually, like for instance, for people who can't swallow ibuprofen pills, he makes an ibuprofen paste.
Really?
Yeah.
It's got that old school flair, and I think the people that work there also carry along a very traditional aspect to pharmacy, which is and with the advent of like the CVS's and the Walgreens and the Rite Aids, things like that.
Yeah.
The experience.
He said that
if anybody has to experience having to go to those box
those big
stores,
box chains, they don't have that personal touch.
No.
And he said that his business has increased multiple times since there was a CVS nearby, because he said that those customers get frustrated with the red tape that and the lack of personal touch from a large chain like that.
Well,
so he actually gets customers who referred from CVS to him.
Yes, because I think when it comes to prescription medication and people's, it's a very and a lot of it has to do with the current state of prescription drugs overall, but which is not always had a positive light. But places like this have taken the extra step in getting customer service as a very key part of their business model. So it's obviously that's one of the things that has survived the test of time, and customer service always will survive the test of time for the most part.
Yeah, he even has built a specialty laboratory right near his business to kind of expand his niche of custom pharmacy. So that's different. I mean, I've never heard of a pharmacist who actually mixes his own forms of medications. So that's
legal
Delco
ones
drugs.
anyway.
Legal. He also makes like gummy bears for kids who don't like to swallow pills, and lollipops. It's cute.
All right. So, but it's a place, obviously, if you haven't seen, even just from the outside,
Even to just drive by, yeah.
It's just a real.
It's by the
interesting
Eltingville train station.
Yes,
It's right there.
right
on
off.
the corner.
That's
It's
Wilson
Richmond
Avenue, Richmond Avenue and Wilson Avenue, right next to
It's right. It's
the
one
Italian
of
deli
those Italian
there.
deli, yeah.
You know what's funny when you do live things? You think your memory's bad as it is.
There's no do-over.
It's like and you just recall is like terrible. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the heat of the light. And it's like 900 degrees.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little better today, I think.
Yeah.
You know why?
Well, maybe for you it is.
Yeah. Well, I wore my vintage dress for the occasion, so that means I don't have to wear sleeves.
I have a jacket on, so she's feeling quite
a little more breathable.
Quite more relaxed.
I feel more comfortable.
So anyway,
it's gonna get hot out soon. You got to get something more breathable.
Yeah, like you can see, look at my skin texture. It's like turning red.
Beating down your face.
But anyway,
the lights get hot. So moving on to number 8, which is there's 2 locations on Staten Island. Rustic Music Center, open since 1969.
And don't you have a special story about Rustic?
Well, I actually bought my guitar from there. Well,
right.
My boyfriend bought my birthday present guitar from there, I should say.
There you go. So
yeah, they sold us an instrument that I use, and they've been family owned and operated since they opened in Staten Island in 1969. They sell and rent musical instruments, repair them, sell sheet music, and they also teach music lessons. And
music lessons are huge there. If you're a Staten Islander and like especially musically inclined Staten Islander, it's probably one of the more iconic places for teaching music and to play instruments. I think my sister had learned piano there, and I happened to live about maybe less than a quarter mile from there. So the place has been around for a long time. It's rustic, in its whole appeal, but it still has. You drive by and it still has that that old school town feel. So but it's a place that that still is still pretty much grown into. I believe it's had several owners. It's been rustic. There's been several owners there, but basically what you have is a really heavily founded teaching school within a music shop. So they do an amazing job.
Yeah, I'm sure
a lot of
Staten
Islanders have crossed that path to learn music. So for those Staten Islanders out there, it's definitely, and even the lessons I heard are really, really, really good.
Really quality. We have one on the North Shore in West Brighton as well, off of Forest Avenue. But I believe the one in New Dorp was where I got my guitar from. And it's really important for children, especially because I was a music student, and we always needed. You can't necessarily. You can download music now, but you can't download sheet music. And it was a big appeal for me and for my music teachers in school to be able to go to the local music store and get your instruments repaired and buy sheet music for your ensembles. And I know they sheet music is a big part of their business as well.
And like I said again, these places are pretty much the last remaining iconic places. So it's like you don't even know how much longer these places are going to be around.
So keep supporting them.
Yes,
it's getting harder and harder to stay in business for the mom and pop shops.
The next one is number
9, and this one is a bigger chain, which is Ralph's Ices.
Yes.
And you grew up on Staten Island. Do you remember going there as a kid?
Yes, as a kid, more as a teenager, we used to all fit in like a
little clown car.
No, back then no car was that small. Everything was big, so I think we used to all hustle into like a 1974 Impala and head over. And it was like those cars were huge. Literally, the seats were like you could fit like 16 people in a car. It was a clown car in the sense that there was 16 people fitting in one car. Now today it's impossible, but yeah, we'd head over to Ralph's Ices on Port Richmond Avenue, which is still a heavily packed place in the summertime.
That location is still in business since the Port Richmond Avenue one opened in 1928.
1928.
Yep, by the original Ralph Silvestro. And there are now 10 locations, 5 in Staten Island, 1 in Queens, and 4 in New Jersey. So they're thriving.
Yeah, something that it's really expanded actually through its operation here locally and expanded outward. So it's
become now, I guess, a New Jersey institution too.
So but I will tell you this: it's one of the more popular Staten Island destinations. So it's probably most of the people that who will see this basically will know Ralph's Ices off the bat. It's pretty iconic here.
Yeah, and when the weather's warm, the line almost spills out into the sidewalk. You'd be waiting a good half hour to get your ice.
That's where you're waiting?
What?
Is that what you do?
I have.
Okay, so
the one that's right by Danino's.
That's a first-hand account now. So make sure during the summer you beat the lines to get there.
Budget some time if it's nice outside.
That's it.
To wait for your ice. And also, this was interesting. Some of the classic flavors, like orange and lemon, haven't changed their recipes for almost a century. So those classic recipes still keep people coming.
Yeah, those classic recipes, orange and lemon. I don't know how you change the recipe for orange and lemon, but I guess it's original.
They didn't need to be changed.
If there's a recipe, squeeze oranges, squeeze lemons.
Well, do you have a favorite?
Me? That's one of the things I can eat, and I do have a favorite. it's like mostly like coconut coconut ice. I don't know why. It's ice cream. It's
that's the cream ice. Because they have the water ice or the cream
it's water ice, but it's done with coconut shards and and it's really it's and then they have pina colada flavor, which is my wife's favorite.
So if you have high cholesterol and you can't eat ice cream, go get a Ralph's ice.
Or you're allergic to milk, like me. Yeah, you have to stick with ice, and that's it. It's
slightly healthier.
It's brutal. It's brutal not being able to have ice cream.
If you can't go to Eggers, go to Ralph's.
It's brutal. I tell you.
Oh, it's terrible.
I always drink. It'll be Eggers, and we were talking about like favorite ice cream flavors. Eggers, like, there's nothing better than, and like, I can literally eat a pint of the cookie dough. The vanilla cookie dough ice cream, it's just...
Ben and Jerry's?
I mean, I don't know what it is. I don't care where it's from. It's just, they're missing that. And if I was to go to a place like, they'd have to I need EpiPen.
I feel like if anything's going to clog your arteries, it's cookie dough ice cream. That's got to be way up there.
Well, cookie dough is fine. I can deal with the cookie dough. I just have to exercise on the bike a little longer.
All right, so we have one more, and this was just suggested by our very own Chris Gomez, one of our
younger agents.
Our youngest agent, actually.
Yeah, it's Bennett's Bikes.
Yeah, Bennett's Bikes is the second oldest family-owned or owned and operated not family-owned and operated, but opened in 1896. And it
is family-owned. It's the fifth generation.
It is. No, my notes were last minute, so forgive me. It is fifth generation.
It was a long night yesterday.
No, it was. I won't even go there. It wasn't a long.
But anyway,
just busted my chops.
It's the fifth generation, and that's a lot of America right there.
They've seen fifth generation, generations of Staten Islanders.
And I'm pretty into the generational mix of New York. So I think I'm fourth generation. So I'm way in.
So you're integrated.
So if you talk about fifth generation, right? Fifth, it's five?
Yep.
Is that even possible?
Apparently.
From the Civil War?
According to their website.
So Civil War era.
Well, not long after.
And I'm pretty sure that that was I guess around the Civil War, the first bicycles, a little past there, were probably just invented, period. It wasn't something that was around for a very long time. So if there was a bike shop, they'll probably...
The Civil War was 30 years before this opened, so I think they were probably a little more mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, hopefully. Things kind of move kind of slowly. But anyway, that's all. We're just bantering at this point. But it was opened in 1896.
And the location now, not its original location, but it's now on Jewett Avenue in Westerly, right behind the 7-Eleven on Forest and Jewett.
Mm-hmm.
And they still sell and tune up bikes. They sell accessories like bells, and they have a very family-oriented, old-fashioned customer service shop.
And we kind of went into this list on nostalgia because one of the things that you notice as a Staten Islander in general, and most of us here are Staten Islanders, and we've worked in this community for a long time and have our roots here, is that we're starting to see the disappearance of these iconic places. Schaefer's Tavern on Victory Boulevard is definitely a place that has been around.
Oh, was that the one across the street from Starbucks?
Yes.
Kind of?
Yeah.
I did. That was only in the last year.
Jewett Avenue over Watchog Road.
I think
Victory.
It wasn't Jewett. I want to say it was Bard and Forest.
Bradley Avenue.
Bradley.
There you
go. Another
sorry.
B.
Yeah.
That was an old-fashioned
and you see these places,
sandwiches.
yeah, and it's and this list is almost as comprehensive as you get. There's other places, but there's not many more. And now, even the box store type of Toys R Us being what it was for a long time. gone. Staten Islanders have known Toys R Us to a certain degree. It's kind of like a lot of times, but I mean, the retail apocalypse has taken out some of those a lot
of the big names. So when you see these family-owned businesses that are still around after over 50 years, I mean, it's fewer and fewer of them.
Yeah, it's fewer and fewer.
So they're very special.
But I think the thing about it is that in nostalgia and it's funny. You go to places and you look for like community staples like that have been around for years. And it's funny, you go down to Long Beach Island in New Jersey, it's all family owned, and some of those places around for hundreds and hundreds of years.
I mean, that's definitely a Jersey Shore type of thing. I mean,
it's like 100-year plus stores, restaurants, eateries, and like things like that have been around. And I believe there's some restrictions on the chain type businesses moving into the location, which is an interesting ordinance, but it keeps it's kind of kept that old time flair of like just keeping like a very neutral experience every time someone goes, whether it's 50 years, 20 years. Some people say it still looks the same, so it's interesting to see. But Staten Island has changed, and I think supporting small businesses are part of supporting the community. And like you said, like we're seeing things like Delco Drugs, which is
just thriving.
Yeah, which has taken a customer service model and really advanced the customer service model at a very community-based level. Is something that
it's something that large corporations really are not capable of because of the way that they kind of standardize their approach to the whole country. They have like a formula, and that's why people keep going to these small businesses, because they don't have a formula. They know their area, they know their customers, they build relationships.
And but like I said, Money Staten Islanders, especially recently, have seen a lot of the iconic places that we've come to know, sports shops, trophy places. It's just those are things, are relics now, and the last few remaining is important, I think, for Staten Islanders to see their continuation. It makes us far more unique than anywhere.
And it just kind of reminds us of simpler times back before we were, texting our friends all the time.
Did you actually know a time when that didn't exist?
Yes.
All right.
I'm old enough to remember that.
You are.
And kind of lucky that I grew up without digital devices. If I go to Egger's Ice Cream, it's like I'm a kid again going to an ice cream store.
If I go to Egger's Ice Cream, I'm going to...
Put your phone away.
Yeah. And me, I'll need an EpiPen. But anyway, that's what we have for this week. Next week we will be having a little bit more in discussion with
more of a real estate discussion.
Yes, and getting into the statistics, how things break down, where is the market heading, and other tips. We're going to get into some more seller-based tips, especially that we're in the height of the selling season, so it's definitely something that will interject some very interesting facts that you should know about as homeowners, how to retain, capture, and even increase value. And it's not going to be the stuff that you're going to get from, I think some of the stuff is repeated so many times. People don't understand what good marketing is and how important it is to efficiently and efficiency driving value by getting it into the right people's hands quicker. Plus, how reach and exposure changes the component of the buyer pool that someone's going to introduce to a house, which is a very, very fundamental economic factor in knowing why it does depend on the marketing to drive value for a property more than people would ever think. And I'll break down the statistics for you on it and give you an idea of how the economic supply chain, the supply and demand curve, kind of pushes based on interest and how that affects value. So you'll get that from us next week.
Yeah, be sure to.
I'll be working on that this week as part of the next feature.
Yes, looking forward to it. And thank you again, everybody. Again, feel free to let us know in the comments if we missed any of your favorite old school businesses.
Yes, or if you have a topic that you'd like to
for us to discuss. Right. Anything related to living in Staten Island is potentially on the table.
Or leaving it.
What?
Or leaving it.
Leaving it?
Because we're in real estate, right? They may be leaving Staten Island.
Yeah, that's true.
And going to your part of the world.
Going to my part of the country, my parents' part now. I'm a transplant.
You're a transplant. It's okay. She moved this way, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm a rebel.
Anyway, till next time,
anyway,
folks.
Have a great holiday, everybody.
Yes. Happy Passover, happy Easter.
Don't prank your
family
too hard.
Happy April Fool's Day. And I see my wife is watching. I know I'm not going to get you this time.
No.
So, I mean...
She's wise to that by now.
Yeah, she's... I got to find some of us unsuspecting
someone else to pump.
To torment. Who will that be? Anyway, till next time, guys. We'll see you Friday.
See you next week.
That's it.
And thanks for watching.